Hello everyone, welcome to the Lightning Ball channel. We will continue with our review of Tensura Light Novel Volume 9. In our last episode, we discussed how, thanks to the bold efforts of the merchant Malmal, the Monster Federation's underground labyrinth unveiling was a massive success. Notably, 4 adventurer parties, including the hero Masayuki, participated in the labyrinth's beta testing. In this episode, we'll delve into the experiences of these 4 teams within the labyrinth, as well as discuss the trilateral talks between the Monster Federation, the Sarian Dynasty, and the Dworgen Nation. Let's get started. As the adventurers delved into the labyrinth, it was evident that the author cleverly wove classic RPG elements into this unique world. Malmal had provided a comprehensive overview of its features. Besides the traps and hidden rooms mentioned earlier, there had been 3 types of treasure chests within the labyrinth: gold, silver, and bronze. The bronze chests primarily had contained items like healing potions and silver coins. However, if one had been unlucky, these chests could have turned into trap monsters. The gold chests, on the other hand, had contained rare-grade equipment, treasures that even A-class adventurers would have coveted. However, these gold chests only had appeared after defeating random boss creatures, such as domain lords or floor guardians. At that time, the adventurers had just started their exploration. Bassin's team, unfamiliar with the labyrinth's layout, had already been lost. Ellen's trio, armed with information obtained by bribing Ramaris with cake, had been cautiously moving towards gold chests. Their plan had been to defeat some domain lords, acquire the treasure, and then return directly to the arena. The third group had consisted of a lone adventurer, the splendacious sword fighter, Guy. As one of the few A-class adventurers, Guy had used his exceptional physical prowess, magic skills, and knowledge of the map to swiftly navigate the labyrinth's twists and turns. He had effortlessly located the stairs to the next level. If he had continued at that pace, he might have reached the 5th floor in another 2 hours. However, Rimuru had noticed something concerning about Guy. While moving quickly, there had been a peculiar gleam in Guy's eyes and an exaggerated smirk on his lips. When Guy had reached the 3rd floor, he seemed to have known the exact locations of all the chests, looting them without hesitation. Rimuru had pondered how Guy could be so adept, but even his internal Lord of Wisdom had offered no insights. Ramaris, watching from the screen, had worn an indifferent expression, commenting that Guy had radiated intense desires, akin to a mad dog, making him an undesirable associate. Lastly, there had been the much-anticipated hero, Masayuki. With his extraordinary luck and the guidebook given by Rimuru, Masayuki's group had cleverly triggered pitfall traps, descending floor by floor. In just over 2 hours, they had reached the 10th floor boss hall, guarded by a B-class spider. While Masayuki might not have been the most powerful, his companions had easily dispatched the low-tier monster. After a swift battle and acquiring the treasure, Masayuki had used the returning whistle to the arena. However, as soon as they had left, the boss room door had opened again, revealing Guy, who also had reached the boss level. Yet, to prevent potential conflicts over boss battles, Rimuru had designed the boss respawn time to be 30 minutes. With only 15 minutes left for the beta test, it had been impossible for Guy to challenge the boss. His adventure, it seemed, had come to an abrupt end. Hearing this, Guy's eyes had blazed with desire and rage, furiously declaring that no one could command him. He had angrily demanded that Rimuru resurrect the boss, spewing insults and belittling the Monster Federation. Delta, serving as the guide, had chosen to ignore Guy's tantrum. But as Guy continued to mock Delta, even ridiculing Rimuru, her expression had darkened. She had warned Guy of consequences if he kept insulting them, but Guy, undeterred, had mocked her further. Suddenly, Guy's body had been ensnared by vines sprouting from the ground. Delta had disabled the pain suppression skill of the revival bracelet, allowing the thorns from the vines to pierce through Guy's armor and into his flesh. In intense pain, Guy had screamed and tried to resist, but his voice had cut off mid-shout. Delta, with delicate precision, had beheaded Guy. Guy's body had dissolved into particles of light, respawning outside. However, due to the pain of being decapitated without the pain suppressor, Guy had been left unconscious. The audience, shocked by this display, had grown uneasy. Seizing the moment, Mau Mau had reiterated the importance of following the rules, otherwise, one might not only lose their acquired treasures but also be banned from re-entering the labyrinth. Eventually, when the last group, led by Ba-sun, had returned to the hall, Rimuru had taken the stage to conclude the underground labyrinth unveiling event. Despite a few hiccups, the event had been deemed a success, leaving an indelible mark on all attendees. Personally, I think these 4 teams are the reflection of different types of gamer in the real world. Ba-sun's team, lost and confused, mirrors novice gamers, while Elan's trio, with their strategic approach, represents the RPG enthusiasts. Guy, with his unparalleled skills, channels the seasoned solo player. Masayuki, as the king of luck, represents the shills from the dev team. Now, let's turn back the clock to the deep night following the Grand Festival's second day. To address the Monster Federation's financial predicament, Rimuru had convened an emergency meeting with Benimaru, Diablo, and King Gazel. After brief pleasantries, the Dwargen King had disclosed his own situation. He had managed to gather around 1,500 gold coins from the Dwargen nation's funds, promising delivery the next day. Yet, this amount had still been insufficient. Hosting such a grand festival for the first time, Rimuru had generously spent over 3,000 gold coins. Although a significant number of stellar gold coins had been available in the treasury, they hadn't been in circulation due to dealings with individual retailers. Even with Rimuru's personal funds and the coins collected by Mau Mau, the finances had been woefully inadequate. Lost in thought, Rimuru had sought more solutions. Gazel, with evident frustration, had reprimanded Rimuru for his reckless spending. Just then, an unexpected voice had intervened, offering to provide the deficit. Turning, Rimuru had recognized her all the accompanying sorcerer's dynasty Sarian's empress, Elmesia. Gazel's expression had momentarily turned complex, and Rimuru had sensed that owing Elmesia could lead to complications. Yet Elmesia, with a smile, had remarked she had overheard their conversation and that Sarian wished to assist for the sake of future harmony between their nations, without any unreasonable conditions. Gazel, looking somewhat distressed, had advised Rimuru to acquiesce, mentioning the difficulty in dealing with the 2,000-year-old empress. Hearing Gazel's words, Rimuru had shifted topics, inquiring about Elmesia's true intentions. Surprisingly, Elmesia had just one request: to have been invited beforehand for any such grand event. Though puzzled by the simple demand, Rimuru had agreed without hesitation. Elmesia then had provided 1,000 gold coins from her magical wallet, and Rimuru had immediately exchanged them for 10 stellar gold coins. With that, the Monster Federation's financial crisis had been averted. After briefly discussing potential conspiracies behind the scenes, Elmesia's demeanor had abruptly shifted, revealing a dominating aura, an overpowering hero haki unmatched by Gazel. Rising to the challenge, Rimuru had responded with his own demon lord haki, meeting her gaze head-on. Elmesia had then interrogated Rimuru about his intentions concerning Diablo, one of the dangerous primordial demons. She had further queried how Rimuru planned to assume responsibility in case the demon go rogue. Puzzled, Rimuru had pondered the term primordial demon. Diablo was the only demon race in this room, strong and potentially volatile, but loyal and not overly dangerous in his opinion. After considering, Rimuru had assured her that he would restrain Diablo before any potential rampage. Upon hearing this, Diablo's face had lit up with pleasure, while Elmesia had expressed doubt. Reiterating his confidence, Rimuru had been firm in his response once again. Elmesia had then broken into a girlish laugh, praising Rimuru's grandeur. With Rimuru's promise as a foundation, Sorcerer's Dynasty Sarian and the Monster Federation had solidified their alliance, culminating in a clandestine summit of the 3 superpowers that night. Alright, that's all for this video. In the next episode, we will discuss the battle of wits and courage between Rimuru and the merchants. Please like, subscribe, and share. See you in the next one.